Top 10 War Research Topics. The Civil War and the Cold War. In this paper, you can explore similarities between the American Civil War and the Cold War between the US and the Soviet Union. You might examine how a difference in opinions and parties' inability to handle it diplomatically can lead to an armed conflict. War and diplomacy. War and diplomacy are two opposite ways of managing conflicts on a nationwide scale. In your essay, you can compare and contrast these strategies, highlighting the pros and cons of each. To support your discussion, you can draw on examples of real-life political conflicts that have been handled by wars or diplomacy and analyze their outcomes. Why and how did the U.S. get involved in the Korean War? The Korean War was an armed conflict between North and South Korea in 1950 to 1953. As the war broke out, the U.S. came to the aid of South Korea. But why was it necessary? Examine this question in your paper. We suggest you consider the global political climate of that time and the ongoing Cold War. The Civil War, the letters from the soldiers. This topic allows you to explore the Civil War through personal stories of soldiers found in their letters and diaries. We suggest you put these letters in a broader context of the Civil War to get a better understanding of its causes and events. For example, you can examine whether and how soldiers mention slavery in their writings. The Cold War and its effects on American policies. In this essay, you can analyze how the Cold War influenced the U.S. foreign and domestic policies. For instance, consider its impact on American reforms concerning civil rights, working conditions, and labor unions. Also, examine how anti-communist sentiments in the U.S. affected the country's policies. Germany and its position in the First World War. As you may know, Germany was the leader of the Central Powers during World War I. In your essay, you can analyze the reasons why this country initiated the war. Also, you can investigate the major fronts Germany fought on and how its position changed throughout the conflict. Lower Canada Rebellion, the Patriots' War of 1837–38. The Lower Canada Rebellion was an armed conflict between Canadian patriots and the British colonial government in 1837 to 1838. In your paper, you can analyze the roots of this war and the reasons for the Patriots' defeat. You can also examine how this rebellion changed the subsequent relationship between Britain and the British colonies. Japan's aggressive war and Sino-Japanese relations. For this topic, you can focus on the Second Sino-Japanese War that took place between 1937 and 1945. You can analyze the three stages of this war, which started with the rapid expansion of the Japanese influence on the Chinese territories. Then, examine how this war has affected the relationships between Japan and China and the overall political climate in East Asia. Why do strong states sometimes lose wars against weak ones? Although this may sound counterintuitive, a weak country is not necessarily doomed to failure in a war with a large, powerful state. In your paper, you can look into examples of such wars and analyze why strong countries failed to defeat their weaker opponents. Iraq and Afghanistan Wars for American Safety. This paper focuses on the War on Terror, military operations launched by the U.S. after the 9/11 attacks to combat terrorism. How were the military operations in Iraq and Afghanistan expected to bring peace to Americans? Was this war on terror successful in ensuring Americans' safety? Answer these questions in your paper. Find more research topics on studycorgi.com.